right, guys. Hey, how's everybody doing? My name is Barry. We're going to be learning about how to add a first person toggle system in Unreal Engine. So let's get to it. Whenever you start this, we're going to be doing this from the perspective of the third person project, okay? So you want to come here, click on third person, make sure you get all your starter content in there, and let's just create a brand new, fresh project. Give it a second to load. That's right, we're using Clipchamp. Bring Movie Maker back, though. You know what I'm saying? That's the OG stuff. Yeah, just let Unreal Engine cook for a second. And there it is. Here we are in Unreal Engine. If it's your first time, take a minute to just digest what you're looking at. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to go to your content drawer right here. Okay, and yeah, it's a little button in the bottom left corner. It says content drawer. And you can go to your third person folder. You can navigate here, or you can just click right here. It's the same thing. Open this up, and you want to go to blueprints. So we're gonna, click on our BP underscore third person character. This is a blueprint class of your character in the game. Right now, if you were to click play, you'd run around and you'd be trapped in first person mode or third person mode. You know what I'm saying? You could still run around and jump, but there's no first person functionality in there. And in my game, I want the character to be able to toggle between that. So let's click on this character and change what controls are available to him. Okay. So right here is your event graph. It shows everything that we got going on, but we want to look at our viewport. We want to view our character here. And we can see that this follow camera here is actually the camera that's being used whenever we're in third person mode. It's connected to our character via the camera boom. What we want is to have another camera added in here somehow on our character attached. And yeah, we just want to be able to turn that camera on and off. If you logically think through this, what we want to do ultimately is push a button on our keyboard that turns this camera off, the follow camera, and then turns on another camera that is going to be kind of like attached to the head of this character to give it that first person view. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to go to our character mesh, which is a child of the blueprint class that we're using. If you want to learn more about classes, you can check out the other video I made. And we're going to add a new component to this actor. What component are we going to add? We also talk about components in that other video, so you can check that out. We're going to add a camera component. Okay, and we're going to give this camera any name we want, whatever you want. First person camera for me, though. I like to keep it nice and simple. Okay, and what we can do, because it's a child of the mesh of this character, we can switch what socket it is attached to. We want to attach it to the head of the parent socket, which is right here. Now this looks a little funky. If you right click and use WASD, you can move the camera around. That's my favorite method. There might be a better one, but I like this. And yeah, let's get a good angle. We can click here to rotate, or you can press E, and we're gonna rotate our camera. This looks like it's gotta go this way, 90 degrees, right? And then this way, 90 degrees. Okay. And we can also give it some small, tiny up and down adjustments. You just got to click right here to translate the objects, or you can press W. You want to get good at your shortcuts, by the way. That's how the real ones do it. You can make small, minute movements by clicking and dragging in the transform section like so. Okay. And that also goes the same for rotation. Okay, we're going to put this back at 0, or you could just type it in if you're having trouble. Let's put that at 0. Let's put this at -90 on the dot. All that 0.99 nonsense, we don't want that, okay? We want to be perfect. Okay, and you can always check and see, just double check if your camera's upside down. I don't know if it matters. I never had to deal with that. But see the little arm right here on this camera? Just make sure this one's arm is in the same direction. And as you can see, as the head moves around, the camera follows. Okay? So there's still a couple more things we need to do here. Because right now this camera is activated. Okay? We go to activate. You can turn this off, auto activate. We don't want this camera to be activated at first. We want it to be activated when we push a certain button on the keyboard. You could have also scrolled down if you'd like to find that activate wherever it is, but I find it's faster to just go ahead and type it in. You know what I mean? And so, yeah. So right now this camera is turned off. It's attached to the head of the character. It's moving around with them. And we still have our third person camera in existence connected by the boom. Okay? And so what else do we want this to do? We want this camera to rotate with this guy as he turns around and everything, you know? Turns around. And so what we can do is we can say pawn rotation, right? We can check this box. What use pawn control rotation does is it ensures the camera rotates with the pawn. The pawn is a parent class of this. The pawn is any item in the game that can move around, and the character is a child of the pawn. The BP third person character class is a child of the pawn. And you can look at the parent class of it. It's a character, and the parent class of all characters are pawns. And just highly recommend you check out the class video if you're interested in getting to know how this works, the ins and outs, what's going on, what are the buttons I'm pushing, and everything. Okay, that's all you'd really have to know for this simple little tutorial we're about to do. So at this point, we can compile. That does is make sure all the code is saved. It checks it for errors in a sense, you know, make sure it's good to go. And we're going to go back to our event graph here, okay? Now, in our event graph, first, you want to make a nice little area because we got to do some coding here. So I like to add a comment first. You can right-click, type in comment, and it'll pop up. And this will be my first person toggle section right here, okay? You can open that section up, make it a little bit larger so we can fit everything. I feel like this is good enough. There's plenty of space. Okay, so logically, let's think through this. Whenever the person hits a certain button on the keyboard, we want it to use the first person camera and not use the third person camera. And whenever they hit that button again, we want them to use the third person camera, not the first person camera, okay? So first step in that logic is we want to listen to whenever this person pushes something on the keyboard. So you can right click and just type in keyboard and keyboard events. These are events, kind of like event listeners if you know a little bit about JavaScript or web development. So whatever button you see on a keyboard that you want to toggle your first person toggle, you can just pick that. I'm choosing enter. And whenever the button is pressed, we want to turn on our first person camera. So what you can use here is a flip-flop, okay? What flip-flop does is it's either going to do A, the first time you do it, and then B, the second time you do it. Do what? Press enter. You can click and drag into flip-flop. So when A happens, we want our first person camera to turn on. You can drag it from here. If you'd like, under the components section, you can drag that first person camera from here, and you want to click get the first person camera. We want to get that camera, and we want to set that camera to be active. Remember how we turned off auto activate? We're going to set it to be active, to be the new active camera. And we can drag that flip-flop A in here. This is the first time it happens. It'll do whatever A tells it to do. And so we want to set that camera active, and we want to add another active because we want to turn off our third person camera. which is labeled the follow camera if you were paying attention. And we want to set it. So set active follow camera. And we're going to leave that box unticked. As you can see, whenever you do it this way, it automatically grabs the object reference for you. And so you can organize this however you like. I like to go like this. And these are going to activate in sequence here. Once it's pressed, it's going to check. It's going to alternate between A and B. First, it'll do A, which is make this camera active. And then we're going to make this camera not active. All right. And what we're going to do essentially is the exact same thing for B, which is when enter is pressed again, we're going to set active our first person camera, but this time we're going to be turning it off. So yeah, boom. Turning that off. And you could also do like this. You can Control C to copy and Control V to paste. Thank God for those shortcuts. And there you have it. Now we have our first person toggle. But you might notice something as well. Remember how we had the use pawn rotation? Let's see what happens before we take into account what happens with that. Oh, and don't forget to set this active. Let's compile, save it, and then we're going to go back into the this window here, and you can push play. And let's see what happens right now when we push enter. I'm in first person mode, and if I walk around, everything's working as expected. Okay? But when I stop walking around and I turn, you notice I'm looking through my character's body. So walking around and moving, everything's fine. But when I stop walking, I look down or I look around, my character's body isn't rotating with the camera. So let's escape out of that. And the window should still be open. If it isn't, you can always just go back and find it in the content drawer and click on your character again. But what we want to do to account for that body not rotating, not necessarily what we want to do here to fix this is to use the controller rotation. All right. The controller's yaw. Okay. What the yaw does is the yaw is your left and right looking values. Okay. So we're going to use the controller's rotation yaw. All right. Whenever we're in first person view, we want the person who's turning the camera to control the rotational yaw of the entire item, which is the blueprint, your class, And so we want to use that during those moments. And we want to make sure we turn it back off as well whenever we switch to our follow camera or our third person camera. The yaw. And that's it. As you can see, the logic flows like this. I push enter, and flip-flop's going to say, first time I'm doing A, I'm going to activate the first person camera. I'm going to deactivate the follow camera, aka our third person camera. And then I'm going to set it up so that whenever you turn around, you'll also rotate the character mesh, the whole body of the character and everything. And when you push enter again, I'll turn the first person camera off. I'll turn the third person follow camera back on. And then I'll set it up so that the body no longer rotates when you look left and right. So let's compile it, save it, and test it out. Come here. We're going to push play. All right. So I'm running around. I'm looking. When I stop in third person, I can still do this. When I switch to first person mode, I'm running around. I'm looking. My body's following me. And when I stop and look around, my body rotates with me. And so that's just a pretty simple example of how you can do first and third person toggle in your game. One of the first things I like to set up is character movement whenever I'm trying to develop a video game, just to make that look smooth. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.